Hello and welcome. In this video I'll be taking a look at the MiG-31 edited by Robert Refuelling. So if you go onto the DCS user files section, I'll put the link in the description anyway. This is the version I'll be using. Now a couple of things to note. You need to ignore that because the mouse wheel will not do much in the way of positioning your pilot head, and the reference to the Su-57 mod, the R-37 or the AA-13 Arrow as it's known by NATO, it does not work in the 2.7 variant of DCS World. So if you actually have the Cuponace Su-57, you'll have a choice of a weapon that is called the RVV-BD, or the Raketa Vojvodovoj do Bolshoi Dalnosti, and that is the long-range air-to-air missile, the really beastie one. Unfortunately that won't be available to you, which is annoying because it's a really good missile. So you'll be stuck with the older variant, pretty much the older version of the copy of the Phoenix. We just get into configuration, so you'll be stuck with the Amos, which is here, the R-33, and obviously your R-40s, or you can take two R-60s. But yeah, that's just to clear those up before we get into the mod. But you do have the ability to air-to-air refuel with this version. So we'll get into the cockpit and we'll take a look. Just quickly before we get into the sim, once you've downloaded it, unzip it and it will go into your save game, DCS open, beta or stable version, whatever version you're using, into your mods, into your aircraft, and it's placed just there, or wherever it goes in your folder, but it needs to go into your save games, not into your main DCS folder. Okay, so into the cockpit. So when you first get in the cockpit, you'll notice you really don't have a lot of room and you're pushed right up against the HUD. So to address this, we need to use the number pad on the keyboard, not numbers across the top, and we need to hold right control and right shift down, and we'll use the minus key to draw our head out and 8 to raise it to a suitable position. You can use 4 and 6 if you need to move it left and right. You can use 2 as well if you feel that you've gone too high, and you can use the star key if you feel like you've been drawn out too far away. What I tend to do is fire the electrics up, fine tune my head height and position, and then carry on from there, because really you're just looking at a bit of glass at the moment. So if you look around, you'll notice that we are in the MiG-29 Sierra cockpit. If you used Flaming Cliffs 3 before, you'll know all about it, and probably be used to it. If you haven't, you'll get used to it pretty quickly. I mean, this RPM for both your engines, your temperature gauges, fuel, hydraulics, RWR is there, obviously artificial horizon, and there's your bearing compass. This is your configuration panel, so if your air brakes are up, you'll know, if your flaps are down, gear down, so on and so forth. This is your angle of attack and your G meter. You've got a little compass there as well, and this is your radar screen here. Now as we use the not so long-ranged Amos missile, the R-33, we are a bit limited on how far away we can fire the missile from. If we had been able to use the R-37, things would have been a bit better, but unfortunately, because of the version of DCS we're using the Cuban-Ace R-37 isn't possible. So to fire the electronics up, right shift and lemur, and there's the HUD. Now just make sure it's comfortable and that I can actually see. Yeah, that seems like okay. This is where you make your fine-tune adjustments so that you can actually see what's on the HUD. Actually, I'm maybe a little bit too high. Drop down a tiny little bit. And then obviously it's right control lemur for your nav lights, right alt and lemur again for your landing lights, and then it's right alt home to get your left engine started, right control and home to get your right engine started. Did I just say that twice? Previous one was for the left engine. If I did, I do apologise. Yeah, and then it's just a matter of waiting for the engines to start up. Close the canopy with left control and Charlie, which I'm going to do now, and then you're ready to go basically. So what I'll do is I will cut from here and put myself up in the air. Okay, so first things first, we'll go through the avionics. So at the moment we're in nav mode, which is 1. If we cycle through that, we'll get our return, landing and en route modes. Now the other keys that you're going to want to use are, you're going to want beyond BVR, which is 2. You're going to want longitudinal missile aiming mode, so if you're using short range air-to-air missiles you can use that, and I always have it air-to-ground configured, even though this one isn't air-to-ground at all. Obviously you're going to want to sort your axis out, and then one thing of note, and is it one of the downsides, is that this thing doesn't have countermeasures. I believe it should have, but it's because of the version change of 2.7, same with the R-37, it's become unavailable. So yes, you've got to take that into account, that you don't have any countermeasures, so you're just going to have to press the throttle all the way to the wall and just dive and get out there as quickly as you possibly can. Other than that, you have the sensor mode, electro-optical, your radar, your pulse frequency, track while scan, range while scan, change position of the radar, obviously to lock your target, and then you have your systems, air brakes, drag chute, things like that, your normal stuff, and then that you can do the in-flight refueling, but you can't actually assign it, you can't bind it to anything on your HOTAS, so you have to use left control and R to get the refueling boom out and put it back in again. So it's just a toggle, which is really annoying because obviously you don't want to reach for the keyboard when you're doing stuff like that. So yeah, that could have been a bit easier on us by being able to bind it to a button of some sort. And then you've got weapons, cannon, and then you've got your launch permission override, so that you can launch without the computer saying you have to, weapon change and weapon fire. So what we're going to do is, I have a couple of B-52s out here somewhere, and I am going to obviously try and shoot them down. Like I said before, this is a bit twitchy, So using the trim is sometimes better than actually moving the stick. So we're getting to BVR mode. Not picking anything up at the moment. I mean, they are 10 or 12,000 feet. So hopefully they will show up shortly. I'll speed it up until
maximum speed.
I find a ping.
Maximum
That's another
speed.
thing. This thing has a maximum speed,
Maximum
which
speed.
obviously
Maximum
every aircraft
speed.
has its maximum speed, otherwise it will just tear itself apart. But this could obviously go a lot quicker. Right, so I've got the radar on now. Searching for these B-52s, and again you can manipulate the radar dish so that you can look, you can point it upwards to try and get a target, bring it down. You can turn it left and right. As you can see at the bottom there, I can move it to the left, I can move it to the right, and we've got a target there. So we're going to manipulate the cursor there, put it over the top, lock on. Oh, and the buffs are jamming, brilliant. I can see them visually just in front of me there above the cursor. So we just got to wait until we get closer so that we can burn through the jamming. I hope you like jamming too. I'm going to try one with launch override. And off it goes. We'll track it and see if it works. There you go. Right, so I mean, it shows the range bars here, but in this case with the R-33 you don't really need to use it. I mean, it should have a very long range. For some reason the range bars don't let you launch quite as far away as possible. Obviously they were jamming as well, so causing me problems. Obviously the view is absolutely pants in this thing, so trying to track a B-52 once you've passed it can be a bit of a problem. All the crew bailed out. There it is. We're getting to 6 longitudinal aiming mode, and we're getting into a stall now. Brilliant. It's too fast or too slow. I don't have any longitudinal aiming mode missiles available. Use a 40R. Where is it? And we're good to go. Wow. Power slide. Yeah, that's buffed down. Okay, so yeah, this is a MiG-31, edited by Robert, Refuelling. The link will be in the description. It's a lot of fun. Go and shoot a load of bombers down. Always a good laugh. So anyway, yeah, I hope that's helped. I hope that's piqued some sort of interest. And as always, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.